Does boat traffic affect the quality of fishing on your lake? Let me know what you think in the comments section. So first of all, for me, I think we got to define what quality of fishing is before we really dive into this subject. So when I say, does it affect the quality of fishing? This is what I'm talking about. Does boat traffic, and when I say boat traffic, we probably should define that first. Boat traffic, I'm really talking about jet skiers, ski boats, joyriders, people that has this fisherman. We call y'all in my way, pontoon boats. We call it, you're in my way. I don't want to be fishing and you're making it uncomfortable for me to fish. That's what I'm talking about. Not necessarily your 150 boat tournament on a 10,000 acre lake, where there's a lot of people fishing. Of course, that's affecting the fishery and the quality of fishing that you may experience during the day. But what I'm specifically talking about is boat traffic, people that are not fishing, that are out on the water. Do you think that really affects the quality of fishing? Okay, quality of fishing for me. What's good quality? A good quality of fishing is when I can move around. When I got room to go from space to space, I can hit the areas that I want to hit without having them to be too jammed in. You know, a lot of times there is going to be, especially if you're fishing on the weekends, there's going to be other people out there. But in the spring, if I got to go 10 points down to get a spot, or every pocket I pull into, there's two boats, one going in and one coming out, it gets to be a little annoying. That's not good to me. Secondly, is it safe? If I can't get from point A to point B without feeling like I got to watch 360 degrees around me, for me, that affects the quality of fishing for me personally. Okay. Some other things that affect the quality of fishing. Does it make the fish skittish? Does it make them hard to bite? Do I now have to downsize, and do I now have to have a specific way that I fish for fish just because of the boat traffic? Now, my answer to this may surprise quite a few of you. The reason I'm addressing this question here is that this particular subject, this topic was brought to me in my online fishing class. If you don't know by now, I host a online fishing class where we talk about fishing, what the gear to use, where to go catch fish. We talk about bass fishing behavior. We've even went into subjects as the right tow vehicle for your boat, the right boat, choosing the right boat for wherever you fish. Everything fishing we talk about on this online course. And a good friend of mine, Tim Dawson, brought this topic. He didn't really ask the question, but I thought it was a really good topic to talk about, is how boat traffic affects fishing.
Thing is about, especially that last situation with the boat traffic and so forth, I can attest to this even with my son. He races motocross. When the track is dry, I always tell him, like, listen, today is the day we learn how to ride the track when it's dry. When it's muddy out, today we learn how to ride the track when it's muddy. It works likewise when it's fishing. There's still information there for you to be had when you get a lot of boat traffic, the annoying ski boaters and all that. Because what happens is it can actually work for you, especially in the summertime when we're talking about that still stagnant water. And you get a lot of times in the summertime, all that boat traffic working around. It's just a big agitation system. Right. And so, it'll muddy up some water that was clear. So, you got to adjust for that. But overall, the fish it doesn't really bother the fish that much. It can be a distraction to you and kind of get your focus off a little bit. But I've never seen a deal where it really bothers the fish. Fishing pressure, yes. Ski boats and all this so forth, not that much. Not that much. Doesn't bother.
So you might be surprised to know that I don't think it affects the fish as much as it affects you as an angler. It makes it uncomfortable. There's somebody always in the way. You got to watch out where you're going. It's rough going from point A to point B. It can be quite aggravating. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really like to go fishing on the weekends for that very reason. But does it really affect the quality of the fishing? Not really. In fact, there's some instances where I feel like maybe the quality of fishing is improved. I know y'all mad about that. Because of boat traffic, because of jet skis, because of too many pontoons and what are the bladder boats, ski boats and all that. I know that's so taboo for to say, but just bear with me for a second. I'm going to explain why I think it does help the fishing a little bit. The reason I think it helps the fishing, and I think we got to reframe everything. Could you look at it and say, yes, it does hurt the fishing? Potentially, yeah, you could. But I think there's also a lens that we can look at where boat traffic can absolutely help you. I live on a clear, deep reservoir. When we get boat traffic, a lot of times, you get a little bit of color in the water. And that helps the fishing sometimes. We all know when you got a little bit of dirty water, especially with largemouth, even sometimes spotted bass, smallmouth, not so much. They don't seem to like to stay in water, but with largemouth and even spotted bass, they are less skittish when you have more stained water. You get a lot of that from all just the turbines of washing water around in the lake when you get a bunch of boats on the water. And for that very reason, I've seen fish, especially in the wintertime, get on mud lines. I've seen fish get on points, and they're easier to catch. Now, I can throw a spinnerbait in a place where I was having to throw a shaky head or a drop shot. So in those instances, those baits I can cover more water with. So in my mind, if I can throw a chatterbait instead of a shaky head, I got to let it hit the bottom. I got to drag it on the bottom. I got to feel it hit the bottom. It's a lot of steps I got to go through to get the bite on a shaky head. But if the water's conducive to me being able to throw a chatterbait, I can move a lot faster. Hence, in my mind, the fishing's a little bit better. I throw the chatterbait out and I wind it back to the boat. I got him. It's pretty simple. And I just use that as an example. But you can make that scenario for a bunch of different baits. You can make that for a spinnerbait, for a crankbait, for a liftless crankbait, whatever the case may be. The other thing, especially in the summertime where we are right now, when you get all those boats moving around, especially in a creek where it doesn't get a lot of wind and the water's kind of stagnant, well, when you get some boat traffic and is moving that water around, it's sort of like a default aeration system. You know what the aerators in your live well do? The aeration system in your live wells do? They pump a stream of water into your live well, and because it breaks the surface tension in your live well, air is then mixed into the water in your live well system. That's the very Beltonian, South Carolina country boy way of saying what an aerator system does. It makes a splash to splash. There's air and water mixing every time that stream of water hits your live well. Well, the same thing's going on when you get a lot of boats in the water. You got them zinging left to right and right to left and on top of one another. And it's doing nothing but agitating that water, thus aerating it. And one thing that I've seen, especially growing up on Lake Hartwell, growing up on Lake Kiwi, where on Labor Day and Memorial Day, it gets dumb amounts of traffic. One thing that I've seen is when you get that is, especially in the summer, all your bait fish is in the top 15 foot of the water column. If you don't believe me, go out to your lake now in August and September. Start idling around and see how much bait you see in 80 feet, 100 foot. It's not a lot. It's depleted of oxygen down deep. But up top, there's a lot of oxygen. So those boats turning over the water column and making this big agitation system, the bait fish is disoriented, which works out for the bass. They usually, the way the bait fish protect themselves, they get in these really tight balls. That's how there's the defense mechanism. Stay in these tight balls to protect each other. Well, when you get boats running all through the wads of bait fish, it busts those wads up and the fish gorge on them. I've seen boat traffic make schooling activity better before. You've seen it in tournaments before. We ever watched any of the old FLW tournaments on like a Lake Murray or Lake Hartwell or the Elite Series tournaments, or Major League Fishing tournaments where you see a guy get up on the point and start doing donuts, which I don't know if I'd go that far. But that agitates the bait fish, and when you get the bait fish agitated, sometimes the fish bite just a little bit better. Second thing, I think it can improve the fishing because so many people are intimidated. I don't know if this is about the third thing, by the way. Point being, so many people are intimidated, irritated. The people are agitated by all the boats on the water that a lot of times they stay home or go home early. Cannot tell you how many times that I went out at 3 or 4 o'clock intentionally when all the boats are out on the water. just because I know all the anglers will leave. The people just out there just having a good time. They're not on your spot. They're not making casts. They're not pulling bass off your places. And so you can go in there and then start catching fish because all the anglers are left. So with that being said, I think it's worth entertaining the idea that sometimes boat traffic, there's scenarios where it can make it a little bit better. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'd love to have you join my class, by the way. I have an online fishing school. SUFschool.com is the website. We are turning it into an app version. I would love to have you come over to our school. It's very easy to join at SUFschool.com. Help you choose the right gear. Help you know where to go. Help you know what gear to use so you can catch more fish. It's actually very easy to catch more fish. Fishing is simple. Don't let it be complicated. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section.